Anyways, here's a newer. Wait a minute, I lost it. It's an interesting. George Saccoclides is a machine. Keeps putting out the blog posts. This is interesting. Whether you have kids or not, this is still an interesting read. 5 reasons why you should not have children. 5 reasons why you should not have any children ever. One, if you don't have children, you don't have to educate them to consume far less than you did in your own lifetime. You don't have to ask them to do the impossible to reduce their carbon footprint by 10% every year, while you spent all your lifetime increasing yours. You don't have to ask them to limit their options, their amount of shopping, their amount of travel, their range of opportunities right at the time when they are growing up and expanding their horizons. You won't have to tell them that if they don't do all of these things, the world will become even more uninhabitable, even sooner than their natural lifespan. 2, if you don't have children, you don't have to worry about where they will be, how they will manage long after death in a world with devastated ecosystems, fewer resources, less food, harsh climate, ravaged economies with scant opportunities, disease, war, and low quality of life. 3, if you don't have children, you don't have to see their face lose its luster as they grow up and gradually realize that they were brought into a world that was already condemned years before they were even conceived. You won't have to scramble for an answer to the question, if you knew, then why did you bring me into this world? Because they will come to you with old newspaper articles about climate change warnings, and they will ask you about them. What will you say to them? That you didn't know? That you couldn't read? That you were hoping for the best and decided to have a child after all? Were you thinking of yourself when you made that decision? Did you consider the child? 4, if you don't have children, you don't have to lie to them that if everyone puts in some effort, we will manage to stop climate change. We've been telling our children this for 6 decades. No more lies. The Arctic is about to go ice-free, and we are living through the 6th mass extinction. It's here. If you don't have children, you are helping the human race avoid extinction. You are helping nature have a better chance to adapt. But I know that number 5 is by far the weakest argument, because humans rarely care about other humans, about nature, and about unborn humans, even if they are their own flesh and blood. Every single one of the millions of other species that inhabit this planet and are suffering because of humans is another reason for you to step back from your decision now. But you won't, so go ahead, have a child, and hope for the best. I hope you all enjoyed that from George Saccoclides. So let's go. So a lot of people have been interjecting that we're actually in the 7th mass extinction. Sorry. Here we go. From Newsweek. 7th mass extinction, severe and deadly event 260 million years ago discovered by scientists. Scientists believe the Earth is currently going through its 6th mass extinction event. Let me just read that again, because that alone, that sentence alone, should be enough for people to be running, screaming through the streets. It should be enough for all the governments of the world to pass stimulus bill after stimulus bill, to pass works program after works program in order to fight climate change, to urge people to completely retool and reconfigure their consumption patterns, retool and reconfigure the way that they live, for everyone to, lose their job and figure out how they're going to live in a new world where we are taking climate change seriously. That's what that sentence should do for people. Scientists believe that the Earth is currently going through its 6th mass extinction event. Scientists. However, there may be another such incident in our planet's past that researchers had overlooked until now, according to a study published in the journal Historical Biology. Excuse me. In the light of these findings, the authors of the study, Michael Rampino from New York University and Shuzhong Zhen from Nanjing University in China, suggest that the current loss in biodiversity should perhaps be called the 7th mass extinction. The scientists say that the event in question, known as the End Guadalupean Biodiversity Crisis, took place around 260 million years ago, and its severity has previously been underestimated. The end Guadalupean crisis was considered to be only a minor extinction event, Rampino told Newsweek. The latest data, however, suggests that around 60% of marine species become extinct, and possibly an equal number of non-marine species. So the end Guadalupean crisis was apparently a major mass extinction. The end Guadalupean event was somewhat selective. He continued, coral reef environments were very hard hit. Ocean bottom communities and swimming organisms such as coiled ammonoids were hard hit. On land, many reptile species disappeared, so the event was severe, both in the number of species going extinct and in the major ecological damage. This event affected life on land and at sea, occurring around the same time as a huge volcanic eruption that produced the Amishan Traps, a vast rocky formation that lies in what is now southwestern China. This eruption was likely one of the main drivers of this mass extinction event, according to the researchers. Massive eruptions such as this one release large amounts of greenhouse gases, etc., etc. You all know what happens there. Anyways, so there you go. If you didn't know, I didn't know. Now I know. I guess we're in the midst of the 7th mass extinction. And again, if you just go to Wikipedia, well, let me go back. I want to cover this very funny, or not funny at all. So in the New York Post, they're talking about the solar minimum that we're heading into. The sun has entered a lockdown period which could cause freezing weather and famine. Oh, really now? So it's funny, the New York Post is trying to tell people that the Earth is about to cool down because we're on a solar minimum without actually mentioning the fact that, you know, this is happening at the same time that global warming is happening. And the global warming is happening at a much more severe and extreme rate than this solar minimum. So the solar minimum is going to be completely overshadowed by global heating. Anyways, they go through the whole thing about how we didn't have any sunspots this year or last year. That means we're in a solar minimum. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But, you know, because they're being selective in the news that they're giving people. And the New York Post, I believe, is, you know, more right-wing leaning. So, of course, this is a very convenient article for them to put in their newspaper, further confusing people about the actuality that we are in the Holocene extinction, which is, until now, known as the 6th mass extinction. So all you have to do is go to Wikipedia to, you know, get lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of information about the fact that we are currently in an extinction event, which again should send people into the streets screaming, wailing, cowering, asking their politicians, what kind of stimulus are going to pass for us in the wake of this knowledge of the fact that we are in an extinction event? What kind of radical ways are we going to change our life? In what kind of radical ways shall we change our life in order to deal with this extinction event? What are we going to do? Guys, lockdown's almost over. Let's go to the beach. Well, I'm going to go to the beach, but could be that we could be doing something else. So this is a lovely little graph. So here are the large mammal species in certain areas of the Earth. Here's what happens when Homo sapiens come into the picture. Boink. They go all out in the picture, all out. Homo sapiens come in, all out. This is well known, well documented. And, you know, so just trying to confirm the idea that we're in a bit bad place, and perhaps the Bernie Sanders of the world and the AOCs of the world and the Ilhan Omars of the world and the Nancy Pelosi's of the world and everybody who supposedly cares about the heroes might care about the fact that millions and millions of people are going to die much sooner than later. And whatever shall we do about this? Again, we're getting, we're getting more warm temperature. I almost forgot. I had one more thing to cover today. I told you I had a lot to cover today, and I will not let you down. This is from today, Arctic News. April 2020, temperatures very high. So in spite of this actual solar minimum that we're going into, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that we should be cooling down now because we've raised the temperature of the planet so much and at such a high rate that we are overshadowing, what would be a natural respite from the solar system. But yeah, no such luck. Temperatures in April 2020 were very high. The image below shows very high temperature anomalies over the Arctic. See that brown? Almost brown color. That's extremely high temperature anomalies. The image below shows that the April ocean temperature anomaly in the Gulf of Mexico in 2020 was 1.71 C or 3.08 Fahrenheit higher than the 1910-2000 average and the highest on record. The high ocean temperature in the Gulf of Mexico are very worrying as the Gulf Stream carries hot water along the path of the Gulf Stream toward the Arctic Ocean. As the image below shows, the April ocean temperature anomaly of the Northern Hemisphere in 2020, good Lord, look at that. It's not good. Was 0.97 C or 1.75 Fahrenheit higher than the 20th century average and the highest on record. An earlier analysis indicates that there is a tipping point at 1 C at which the sea ice underneath the surface of the Arctic Ocean disappears, which means that there will be little or no buffer left to consume the influx of ever warmer and salty water from the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. As long as there is sea ice in the water, the sea ice will keep absorbing heat until it melts so that the temperature will not rise at the sea surface. But there is ever less sea ice volume, not extent, volume left to absorb ocean heat. The amount of energy absorbed by melting ice is as much as it takes to heat an equivalent mass of water from 0 to 80 C. I think we're all familiar with this process. Meanwhile, temperatures keep rising globally and more than 90% of global warming is going into the oceans. As the temperature of the oceans keeps rising, the danger increases that heat will reach the seafloor of the Arctic Ocean and will destabilize hydrates contained in sediments at the seafloor, resulting in huge releases of methane. Capiche? Get it? Got it? Got it? Get it? Good. That's what I was trying to say. Hey guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can also support the channel at the links below. PayPal, Square, and Patreon. Also, all of my live streams are available for listening on Patreon if you happen to miss them during the day. So you can sign up for my Patreon for as little as $1. If you want to go check out the live streams, they are all there. Thanks a lot.